Hello, welcome. This is Sunday League. We're here for Season 11. It's a fresh new season. It's a fresh dawn for the league. Lots of changes in driver lineups, lots of action going on in the off-season. The calendar only just confirmed this morning, but one thing that hasn't changed is my co-commentator for today, Levi. Say hello.
Hola.
I think that's Spanish. So, we've got our qualifying session here at Spain, the base track. Grandy makes a little error there, that's not going to be great for him. Interesting track, a SL Classic. We had it in Season 4, where it was also Round 1. We had it in Season 6, where it was Round 9. We're at the end of the first lap here. Anti puts it on provisional pole. He has taken pole both times that we've raced at Spain before, but Nuno and the likes of Hernandi and Buda, of course, all looking very promising in the practice races, as well as people like Corvid, Jake, Grandy, Sexy Digger and Eurus, who all fill out the top 11 spots. Danny with a bottle Sobel as well, and Nomskar the slowest lap to start off with, so probably just getting his iron for the moment. I mean, it's going to be such an exciting season ahead of us. Here we go, the second laps of qualifying. Nuno goes top of the timing sheets. It's only 0.02 of a second ahead of Hernandi. We are not expecting to see anyone dip down into the .30s today. That was not the prediction for pole position. A flat .40 is probably the best lap we could be looking at. But could a driver use that final lap of qualifying to push themselves into a good position? Grandy needs to make up some spots. He'll be starting 14th place as it stands. Nuno comes round the final corner. Is he going to improve? Up to the line he goes. It's slower, but Antti takes pole position. What a fantastic lap from the Nordic Thunder driver. He has taken pole every single time Sunday League has raced here, and that will not change today. What a fantastic lap from Antti. Sobel starts on the front row. That is his best qualifying in a little while. Nuno will start third ahead of Buda, in for Razim for Mayhem Racing today. Hernandi starts from fifth for LSA, and in BAR, British Aerial Racing's first ever race, as they took over the slot left by Volpe Ioka, who moved down to Challenger League. Pamushas for them starts in sixth place. Danimator in 7th. Nomskar 8th for him in the FLF. Then it's Corvid in 9th, starting the top half of the grid. Very impressive for the new to full-time driving man. Cado in 10th. Then we've got Sexy Digger making a return this season. He'll start ahead of Jakey on the 6th row. Jurist and then Grandy. It's Kubo and it's Kraft and Gwetsley. The top 17 separated by just half a second. That is really impressive when you look at the margins in other leagues earlier on. Levy, what are we thinking about that?
I was very surprised with Sobel's performance, and I couldn't expect Antti taking pole just in last lap, but that was amazing. And that's actually interesting to see that Buda beats his one-time, temp teammate Danimator, while Sexy Digger beats his teammate Jurist, and Sexy Digger is making his debut. Not debut, the return. And Giruni in quite dead last, which surprised me the most, I think.
Yeah, only driver to not get below 32-second mark there, so interesting to see. Cado and Nuno, a fully fresh lineup for RMC. On the contrast, Sobel and Hernandi still very much the same for them. Buda, of course, coming in, but Razim would normally be there. I think we're nearly ready to get underway for racing here in Spain. What a fantastic lap from Antti, 2nd to 5th, separated by just 0.03 of a second. Sunday League in Spain is up next for us. Starting here, dry start for all the drivers. Good luck, have fun, says Cado. The season is underway. Antti ahead of Sobel at the start. Antti starting on the hards. Can Buda make up some positions into turn 1? No, he loses them. In fact, Pima makes up some, but he forces wide Antti and Hernandi. We've got a big train of cars. This could be chaos coming down into turn 4. A lot of jumping around here, but Antti goes through. Noms gets slightly squeezed. Jake up the inside of them all. Cado pushed off. Jake and Noms in the background, wheel to wheel, take each other off the track. Jake falls all the way down the order. Noms still pretty much in the mid-pack. Sobel, meanwhile, is in the lead of the race, and Antti must have had a kerfuffle earlier on in the lap, because he is all the way down into 6th position at the moment. Nuno and Sobel side by side over the line. Nuno leads the first lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Sobel and Hernandi, the LSA's right behind. They need to be really careful through that tricky turn 3. Pimu gets a penalty as the LSA's just died up his inside, and that allows Cado to make it. RMC versus LSA. first and fourth versus second and third, just as it was in the Constructors' battle in Season 9. They're fighting each other here. We've got a big pack behind there by Kubo, forced wide by Danny, slightly Buddha, tries Prize up the inside of the middle of both of them. Can't get much doing there. Pimu runs wide at the last corner, and that's going to allow Kado right onto the back of him. The front three looking to run away. A big pack behind them as it stands. Levy.
That's a horrific start from Dante Mason. I gotta say, he's down in P7 after starting on pole. I think he has a chance to return to top 3, but it will be very hard. He does a mistake now and fights with Buddha while trying to catch up with Pimushas.
Yeah, it's mental seeing this absolute train of cars from 4th to 14th. But only in Sunday League, the very eSports league itself, would you actually be able to see these drivers all just keeping it composed. The LSAs need to not get in each other's way. If Sobel feels he's faster than Hanandi, that might be an issue. They desperately need to stay within range of Nuno. Hanandi, just a little teleport there, but hopefully no major connection issues, and they are still slipping right behind Nuno. You'd say, I mean, I'll ask you, Levy, as the boss, would you say your drivers are in the right order to be able to hunt down the Rapid Motorsport driver at the moment?
I think yes. If they just stay in front of each other, I think it should be fine. But if Hnandi messes up, Sobel will take his place quite rapidly. Their main task is just to not lose the slipstream of Nuno as of now.
Yeah, they're going to be really enjoying this start as well. We've got the SCPs right at the back. It's Gwetsley and Kraft, of course, who were both rookies last season, so both in their sophomore season this time around. Another rookie is Sexy Digger, who is up in 7th place right in the middle of this pack, and Buddha leads it currently. Grandy right up behind him. Good to see that Jake, even falling to the back at the start, being pushed back and then coming back through, hasn't lost his fighting spirit here and is still in that sort of general area of cars where he'd want to be. We've got Sexy Digger, Buddha all up there in the top 7 cars at the moment. Pamushas has gapped them. We might already be seeing our podium drivers if they can all keep it clean through the rest of the race. But 44 laps is a very long time to have to keep a clean record as Jake and Kubo go side by side through the last corner. Pamu, Grandy, Sexy Digger are all in. It's an overcut for the likes of Nuno, Hanandi and Sobel, our front 3 at the moment. Anti wants Buddha to move to one side and allow Anti to slipstream him, maybe, or because perhaps the Nordic Thunder driver might just have some more pace. It'll be interesting to see. Don't think they'll be too fast as long as they're not fighting it wheel to wheel. They're not going to be losing time. Danny is right behind them. Then it's Corvid and Kubo, the CCs, right here. We're very good at doing those in Sunday League. Urist and Kado and Nomska, who's not had a good start really at all, and Kado flew off the track there. I think he was probably just edged off by Urist on his screen, so he might not be too pleased about that. Sobel is out into this pack, and this can be the determining factor. He was the first of those front 3 to pull the trigger and take that pit stop, and you've got to say that the overcut really could be a benefiting factor to Hanandi and Nuno, because the longer that they can stay in this clean air, the better. I mean, 9 laps would be a big stretch on the softs. They're both in this lap. The race lead will go to the hard tyre runners. It's Anti and Buddha, and it's over to Levy.
And with that, I can see that Sobel will just come right to in front of Nuno, actually.
He's taken the race lead. Amazing.
He's not. He's in 5th.
I mean, net race lead, sorry.
I mean, yeah.
It's a good point, Levy, though. Thank you for reminding me that Corvid is right ahead of them, and he's not pitted just yet. He's still on the hards. Really not great for Urus and Nomskar, both on the hards as well. They've not pitted either, and they're struggling in 9th and 10th. That's sort of fine enough for Urus. Not great for the Portuguese Nomskar, who only signed himself on the very deadline day, 2 days before the season started. It's the mayhems of Buddha and Danimator, and I think a big aspect we'll see this season with so many promising drivers is a lot of teams able to fight up the order. Levy, did you have anything to say?
Weather marker moves, and it moves to the... Never mind. It moves back to well, yeah, but Pimushas actually caught up to our potential top 3, and he is just right behind Corvid, and he will try to overtake him. Corvid can't do anything. He's on worn hard, and he just did a mistake.
So Hernandi's asking for Pamu to slipstream him. Nuno's asking for Sobel to slipstream him, and Buddha and Anti are both slipstreaming. The issue here is when Sobel, with his lap-altered tyres, might just be tailing off that slipstream to Hernandi, which he won't mind at all, his teammate, and Pamushas, which would be less ideal because Pimu will be very much in the hunt to take his to continue his streak of scoring a podium in every season since Season 3. And of course, more importantly, take the first ever podium in British aerial racing's first ever race. He's stacked up against it today, but it is very possible. Sobel and Nuno still fighting it out. Sobel returns after Truly took his seat last season. We have no idea what happened to Sobel there, but Truly did a fantastic job taking multiple podiums and, of course, winning the Belgian Grand Prix. Nuno moves up the inside of Antti and Buda. They don't really put up any resistance to that, and Sobel is going to slide through as well, not quite as easily, but Antti did keep the slipstream. We've got a train of 4 and a train of 2 behind. Sobel going for the move. This could be interesting. He gets turn 2 all a bit wrong on the exit, slides off into that grassy section. It's Antti and Buda still on the hards after 13 laps. They are waiting for that rain to come, but it's not really coming, is it, Lev?
Yep, it's not on the radar. Clouds are pretty much far back, so yeah.
Just until those hard runners go in, we'll take a look at Kubo and Grandi in 7th and 8th. They lead the midfield pack, and Danny on the hards as well. The entire grid has taken a stop. Sexy Digger has taken 2, and now we've got Buda and Antti, as well as Sobel, with that undercut again going into the pit lane. We've still got Pimu and Nandi. Kubo promoted into 4th, and we've got 4 soft runners, followed by 5 hard runners, and then Sobel, our first man, to take the second stop. He's just going to be hoping that that undercut will work out for him and he won't struggle too much. He'll hope not to take a second pit stop if he can, maybe have the rain cut off somewhere while he's still in Nuno's slipstream, because he's only really undercutting the Portuguese driver by a couple of laps. But into the pits go Pimu and Kubo from a very respectable 3rd and 4th. It's a long pit lane that'll be right back down. Pimu looks like he'll emerge in 10th place behind the Australian Corvid, making his debut for Fox and Goose Racing as a full-time driver, so congratulations to him. It's Nuno and it's Hernandi. Hernandi now nowhere near the slipstream range of the Portuguese man, making his respective debut for RMC. Grandi holding 3rd at the moment, Danny on the hards. It's very much a soft v hard fight. Our only medium runners are Corvid and Pamushas, as well as Jaruni, who started in last place, up in a respectable 12th. Grandi has let Danny breeze by with ease. The teams that used to be sister teams, not anymore, as Antti has sold his 50% stake in the Mayhem Racing team back to Danimator. We've got Mayhem, NTH, LSA, Mayhem and NTH, 5-car train, and Sobel a very aggressive move up the inside. You could argue he forced Grandi off the track to an extent. He had to bail to the runoff, and by the time he came back onto the racetrack, Sobel was ahead. Nuno goes in for the hards. Will he be able to emerge ahead of this pack? No, it looks like he'll be right within it. Sobel, particularly on the softs, will get back past. It's an LSA 1-2 as it stands, and Andy very much needs to make a pit stop. Those softs are acting like some rally tyres for him at the moment. Nuno needs to wrestle his way through. Buda and Sobel's pretty long undercut here has worked so far. No big drama in terms of crashes or pushes thus far. But we might be able to see a bit more as we go into the midfield. Pamushas and Corvid side by side through there, but Hernandi into the pit lane at the moment. Buda right up behind Sobel and Nuno. Can he make it a double overtake into turn 1? He doesn't dare. He slots in right back behind the Dutch driver. Back for LSA this season. Buda looking very racy. Here goes to the inside of Sobel at turn 4. Sobel gets it back through turn 5, 6, 7 and 8. This little wiggle bit of the track, and Nuno is currently 3rd on the racing track. We'll have a look at the tyre strategy. It's always very important to see Sobel on pretty mediumly worn softs, Buda behind on fresher hards, Nuno on even fresher hards, but Buda has played a blinder with his hard tyres and his ability to slipstream those going faster than him, particularly latching onto the back of Sobel in recent laps, and that's put himself up into a really good position. Older tyres than Nuno, definitely, but he is within that train. Antti, then Danny, it's Pamushas and Corvid with a fantastic debut race so far for the FGR team. 7th place for him. It's Hernandi, just pitted onto the softs. He's going to fight back up through 8th place. We've got some fighting going on maybe at the top. Sobel makes a mistake. He blocks off Nuno. Nuno's going to try and wrestle his way through. They've all still got the slipstream of Buda. That was very fortunate for them. Sobel will have the straight line speed with the softs. Nuno just asking to slipstream somebody. He's not really sure who. Buda gets pushed off. Tries to rejoin right ahead of Nuno. It hasn't worked there, and we get a little bit of lag, but all sorted up relatively swiftly. Buda is now the man in the middle this train of the front two and the train of fourth and fifth. We'll have a look at some midfield action, why don't we? Sexy Digger, and this is what we want to see, isn't it? Jake pushes Sexy Digger off the track. Grandy is in the midfield firmly now with that recent-ish stop onto the hard compound tyre. Who can make a move here? Nomskar is having a disastrous start to the race. We see Sobel go into the pit lane. He'll hope to emerge well clear of this pack if he can. Jake still leads it. Corvid, having pitted, is ahead of Nomskar. The FLFs now run 12th and 13th, make that 14th or 15th as Kuba comes through. It's Gwetsley and Caddo who's had a really poor race so far. Kraft in last. Buda has gotten himself back up through here. Sobel, of course, came into the pit lane, and Buda managed to just keep that slipstream. So you'll see in Sunday League these, big bit of bumping through the chicane there. Is Buda going to try and make a move on those more worn hards? We've got a 4-car train now as we head on to lap 22 of 44 here in Sunday League, and we're going to need a little bit of rain to spice this one up because the drivers are very, very happy to sit and slip as it currently stands. Levy.
There is no rain on the radar, so things will not spice up yet. But looking at the first lap, Sexy Digger managed to do the 31.27, which is second time in the time trial, if I remember
It's
correctly.
about that, yeah. It's less than a 10th off the world record. It's pretty impressive. Go on, Levy.
And so we can see that Sobel pitting on softs has, again, he did yet another undercut to Nuno, who just pitted for fresh new hards. Weather marker moves, surprisingly. What? Oh, yes. Was it Cloud? I don't know. It stopped on clouds, then it went back to the sun. But weather marker moved, so we have weather.
We certainly do have weather. It is enabled this race. Buda is our leader of the Spanish Grand Prix at the moment. Anti and Hernandi sit in behind. Sobel and Nuno have all the clean air that they need to try and make up some positions here. Or make up some time, rather, as they need to just catch right up to the back of this train. Buda and Anti have only stopped once. A bit of rain at the moment would be very, very fortuitous to the Estonian and Finnish drivers. The Hungarian Hernandi, two-time race winner in Sunday League, is right behind them, and he is raring to go on those softs. Pretty worn. Oh, we got a little bit of lag. That's not good to see, but they'll carry on racing regardless. Hernandi has gone his way ahead of Anti, and he just takes that corner too wide. And Anti was very unforgiving in the re-entry, which is, of course, no fault of his own. It's difficult to get the grip required at corners like that to be able to allow another lane on the outside for the driver to rejoin. So it is currently the LSAs down here. Buda continues to lead. Anti will be in to the pits this lap, and Nuno has not caught Sobel just yet. Sobel is on much more worn tyres, so you'd hope that Nuno's advantage is not going away, but it's really whoever can spend the most amount of time in the slipstream of a driver who is on a good set of tyres. Hernandi is not on a good set of tyres. He will be making way for his teammate Sobel pretty much as soon as he can. He'll have to be through one of these corners because his tyres are that worn, and he's not going to make any too rapid moves. Yeah, he goes into the pit lane. That's pretty wise, and Sobel skates through and takes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. Nuno closing in behind. Then it's Pemu and Danny. Buda.
We're gonna have a rain!
So disappointing for Buda and Hernandi, just into the pit lane, and it would have worked so well for them to have not had that rain there, but it might be a fake rain. It was only light rain that was announced. You'll have to see which drivers will not risk it. Sobel had to take the wider line through there. Looks like Pemu did too. The likes of these top four have benefited off it, and it is fake rain. Jake, Caddo, Eurus, Jaruni, and Gwetsley all came in for the wets. Kraft came in, but will instead pick some dry weather tyres. Sobel is still in. He might not have seen the fact that it's a fake rain, or he might not care. Brilliant strategy for him. Pitting during wet conditions, actually, when you're obviously already intending to pit, can work really, really well for you because you're spending that time in the box instead of skating around with worn tyres on a soaking wet racetrack. So he is saving probably a few seconds if that was all part of his strategy to begin with. And obviously it can be no harm getting onto some fresh softs, which we can see from Sobel do a much better job in the low grip arena that is a wet track. Danny is in second. Pimu also takes that stop right as the track starts to dry up. He'll be out on the mediums right in time for the track to be bone dry. Car coming down the pit straight. It's Sexy Digger still in 8th place. Good race for him on his return to the sport. We didn't think he'd be coming back this season, but he has signed the deal with LYR, and we'll hope that he'll be with us for many more races to come. It's Nuno followed by Danny and Antti. Antti looking for a second place here, tying his best result at the track, which he got in Season 4. At the very first race, the man who everyone thought, the multiple world champion, so quick, so incredible at the game, but Antti held that challenge to him, took pole position, and only just by a little lost out on the win, finishing second place that race. We could see somewhat of a repeat here today, but he'll need to get past Danny and close up to Nuno for any chance at maybe just a sniff at that race win. Buddha didn't come in for the wets. Most drivers didn't, obviously, because it's a bit of a bait there to have that. But yeah, I'll go to Levy while we have a little look at the midfield.
Alright, so we can see that Nuno is still leading by over than second to Dynameter, who is in second, and the Anti-Amazing lets Buddha pass. Buddha is on mediums, the Anti-Amazing is on hards. That's quite interesting. Their tire wear is quite similar looking at that bar. But tire-wise, Buddha has more worn out mediums than Anti... No, vice versa. Anti has more worn out hards than Buddha does. And we can see Sobel just crawling to them slowly because of having softs. So that will be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be interested to see if Sobel can make this time back up. He obviously was in the race lead. This will be a great race to do laps led. I hope you enjoy this when you're watching it back, Kubo. But yeah, Danny. Oh, goes wide there. Maybe just to let Buddha through. That's quite a smart little team order if that is what he intended. And if he just maybe takes a little bit of extra braking through the chicane, I'm sure he doesn't want to lose the slipstream of his teammate who is ahead, albeit on fresher mediums. Antti looking for a move here. He's got a face full of mayhem at the moment, and he's not getting through at all into turn 1. 2 cars blocking him, but he is getting through into turn 4. Nice overtake up the inside of Danny. Antti is a man on the mission, and that mission is second place. It is Buddha currently there, but Antti makes 2 mistakes in 2 corners. Wide with Danny again. This wheel-to-wheel battling allows Sobel back into it. Meanwhile, Nuno all but running away with this one. It's still an intense fight for the final podium position. Nuno is in. You'd have to think this will be his last stop of the race. What will it be? Set of hards will take him 11 laps right to the end. Buddha goes back into the lead for Mayhem. Antti in second. Then it's Danimator and it's Sobel, Pamucius and Hernandi, and then it's Nuno and Nomskar. 8th place for him. It's not been a strong showing, unfortunately. Corvid has been a strong showing for him. He's in 9th. Sexy Digger in 10th. Jake in 11th. And then it's Kubo and Kado, who's recovered from some of the very lowest positions after that little rain stint. Of course, Grandi, then Urist and Jaruni. And then in 17th place and 18th place, we have the SCPs. Buddha goes through in the lead of the race. We might have had somebody just into the pit lane. Well, Nuno was in relatively recently, as we can see. And it was Danimator and Sobel, who both came in for a fresh shed of rubber. Buddha still leads us away. Antti looking to close in. Now Buddha's mediums are more warm than Anti's hards, but don't let that particularly fool you, because those mediums will still have that extra straight line speed, so that bit of extra grip will always be appreciated. Pimu could be looking at a podium here today, but it's been a very fiercely contested one. Hernandi goes into the pit lane. This will be his final stop. Tyre guess, Levy? Oh no. Oh dearie me. We're back. And Eurus rejoins, and it has been a bit of chaos. Levy, are you with me? Levy. No. Right. We're all on our own, viewer. Just you and me, braving the end of the race, and it was a connection failure for El Davidov. That is really disappointing to see. He was having a good stint as commentator, putting in some good lines there, but he just couldn't quite make it to the end. We are on lap 37 of 44. 1 stint left for all of our drivers. Antti, with just 2 stops, is still in the lead on those hards, and if he's got any sense about him, he'll be in for this lap for a fresh set of softs. That lag has thrown things up in the air quite a considerable amount, because he actually has a pit stop back. Well, it'll be interesting to see where he can come out, where he goes in this lap. So he's in to the pits now. Nuno will file through. Pemu is on the same strategy. And Buda looking very good on fresh softs. Danny on slightly older medium compound tyres. Anti will emerge. Will he be ahead of Sobel? He will be. Can he keep the momentum into turn 1? He can. And Sobel on those significantly older mediums. Still in good condition, mind you. But he'll just be sitting in the slipstream. No, he won't. Anti gets a bad exit. And Anti gets thrown wide by Sobel. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That is really terrible to see. I'm not sure if Sobel meant that at all, and it looks like Pemu just edged off Hernandi there, but things are really heating up, and that was looking so good for Anti, and all flew out of the window. Could we see Mayhem take their first ever double podium? Will Sobel and Anti be able to make up that 3-second gap up to the podium places? It looks a lot more difficult now that we've had that crash between the two racers, Pemu and Hernandi, still sitting in behind them. They're not a million miles away. Pemu goes slightly wide through that corner, but Sobel has another go at Anti. Sit in his slip, man. You've got all the mediums. You've asked for the S. Oh, and Anti, unless Anti's just pulling some very slow laps at the moment, it's not at all looking like good race conduct from Sobel. Nuno still leads us. We're on lap 40 of 44. No moves made down that main straight. The FLFs fly line astern. Noms has slightly fresher softs, but those will go off pretty soon. Kubo has hards of about the same wear. Noms' softs will still be faster for now. Can Kubo, for the first time in his Flow Force career, finish ahead of his teammate Nomskar on pure racing merit? That would be incredible to see. Grandy still in 10th. He'll take that final top 10 spot. As it stands, Nuno on the hards has been caught by Buda on the softs. Buda has never won a Sunday League race. At the start of last season, he was the reserve driver for Flow Force. He DNF'd out dead last, 18th in Brazil, and DNF'd out dead second last, I suppose, at the Hungaroring. So 1 point scored for Flow Force, but just for this one-off racing appearance, he has looked a very worthy competitor and will pick up a great haul of points for Mayhem, assuming nothing goes wrong at the end here. Buda slips through into the lead. We're gonna have a rain. I'll say it for Levy, who has left us. He's gone down to interview the drivers for the end of the race, the podium ceremony, but we're not sure what that podium will be. We're getting some late rain, some late drama, and Buda is backing up Nuno into Danimator. That's just a guess, but it could be correct. The question is that just too risky? Grandy is in for Inters, as are Corvid, Sexy Digger, Jake, and Caddo all in. Buda makes a huge mistake out of that corner. That gifts Nuno the lead back, and it will be full. Wet weather conditions, they both fall in just in time to see that, because any lap longer would have been really, really bad for those drivers to stay out on the softs. Nuno takes the wets, Buda takes the intermediates. He's counting on the fact that the track will not have enough standing water before the checkered flag falls for the wets to be the race-worthy tyre. He makes a lot of time up through turn 3. Nuno has to defend through turn 4. It's wet v Inter, Buda v Nuno, and Buda is going to go to the outside at turn 6, and he will get the move done for now. Nuno still has his slipstream, remember, has to bail off into the runoff. Will he go for a move into the tight corner of turn 10? Does look like he'll try it, doesn't look like it will come off. The track is getting properly wet now, and it looks like Buda has miscalculated it. Jaruni's our last driver in for wet weather tyres, and the track is nearly full wet conditions. 44 laps done. Well, 43 just. We're on our 44th now, and we've got a few sectors, a few corners separating one of these front two drivers and that checkered flag, but it looks like Nuno on those wets in full wet weather conditions now. It's Hail Mary chucking it down, and Buda sends a Hail Mary move up the inside into turn 10. It's not going to be enough, and Rapid Motorsport and Nuno win the Spanish Grand Prix. Buda follows through in second place. What a great battle it was. It's a double podium for Mayhem, their first ever. Anti takes 4th, and it's Sobel. Pamusha's ahead of Hernandi. Noms gets a great run on Grandy, but it's not quite enough. Grandy will take 8th place. Kubo in 10th, just behind his teammate. Corva takes 11th, and it's Sexy Digger. And Jake Caddo takes 14th place. Still decent points for RMC. Eurus will be in 15th position, only ahead of those SCPs and Jaruni. Yeah, I think that big leg storm affected a few of the drivers. Gwetsley will take a very solid 16th position here. Jeru, who was the last driver in off his slicks, will take 17th. And it's Kraft weaving his way to an 18th place. Nomskar was not very happy. That's the results. And it looks like the fastest lap of the race went to Sexy Digger, finishing 16th position. Although, was he there on track, is what I wonder. I don't think so. He might have the same results. Bug. Do we have any drivers in here looking for a post-race interview?
I am.
Hello, Nuno. How is that?
Oh my god, I cannot believe it. That rain was my savior in the end. Like, Buddha was looking to win with those softs. Like, I didn't have no chance, but then the rain came in. Buddha went off to the grass, and oh my god, then I knew it was like a 1v1 battle for the end, and I ended up winning. But Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh my god, I have lots of respect for Buddha. He came in, was really fast, could have won today. Was it meant to be in the end, but it was a good battle in the end, I think.
It's insane, that. Amazing. Double podium for Mayhem. They're actually the first team, apart from LSA, to do that since Season 6, where FGR did it in the US, of A. Anti in 4th place, Nordic Thunder. It's a good result for him, obviously. Sobel, the LSAs may be slightly disappointed at 5th and 7th there. Pamuchus in a little bit of a Levioso sandwich. And then Grandi can say the exact same with the FLFs splitting him. I believe there was an error on the results screen. Not exactly sure where Sexy Tigger was. It might have been 12th place, I believe. Hard to say, but we'll have a review of that later. Caddo will take 13th. As mentioned, yeah, Eurus, Gwetsley, Jaruni, and then Kraft all pretty close. All of the grid managed to finish that off within 44 seconds after 44 laps, and what a brilliant bit of racing it was. So strategic, so many different tyre choices and calls, lots of slipstreaming, lots of battling, a bit of chaos and some rain to top us all off. But Nuno takes his first win for RMC on his debut for the team. Great race there. We'll be back in Portimao next week for the Portuguese Grand Prix. Just a short trip across the border to that one. But for tonight, we're done. Great to have you here. Thanks for watching.